Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're unpacking the science behind a feeling that, honestly, I know almost all of us have been struggling with recently. We're going to take a really structured, evidence-based look at exactly how scrolling through your favorite apps is affecting your cognitive performance.
Is social media actually ruining our attention spans? It's a pretty heavy question. If you're finding it harder and harder these days to just sit down and read a book or, even watch a 2-hour movie without instinctively reaching for your phone, I really want to reassure you, you are absolutely not alone. It's this collective anxiety we're all facing, and it really revolves around one highly debated concept.
We hear this phrase thrown around online all the time: brain rot. People use it to describe that endless feed of low-quality, algorithmic internet content, mostly those short-form vertical videos. But look at the second half of that definition. It's not just about the content itself. It's about the perceived negative impact it's having on our minds. When people say brain rot, they're heavily implying that this media diet is fundamentally rewiring how our brains operate.
And that brings us to this incredibly relatable sentiment. I used to be able to read books, and now I can't. Wow. This shared symptom has sparked a widespread fear that our environment isn't just temporarily distracting us with a few notifications, but that it's literally breaking our brains and permanently altering our cognition.
Section 1. The clinical evidence. We don't want to just rely on shared anxieties here. We need the facts. To find out if this cognitive decline is a real, measurable thing or just completely in our heads, science YouTuber Joss Fong dug deep into the existing experimental research, and what she found is honestly fascinating.
So when looking at the data, researchers have to make a really crucial distinction between correlational and experimental research. Correlational research just notices a trend, like, hey, people who use a lot of social media seem to struggle with cognitive skills. But there's a massive risk of reverse causation there. Like maybe people who already struggle to focus are just naturally more drawn to short-form feeds, right? So to get to the truth, we have to look at experimental studies. These actually measure direct before and after impacts by exposing users to a specific treatment.
Here's exactly how those experimental studies worked. Researchers took a group of participants and first gave them a baseline cognitive test. Then, they had them scroll on apps like TikTok, Twitter, or YouTube for a surprisingly short amount of time. We're talking just 10 to 30 minutes. Immediately after that scrolling session, they gave them a post-scrolling cognitive retest to see what, if anything, had changed. The results were striking. The data showed that even a super short 10-minute exposure to short-form video feeds directly and negatively impacts specific cognitive skills. The really big ones: our ability to pause and be critical of what we're looking at, and our prospective memory, which is basically your ability to remember to do things you intended to do. Like remembering to pick up the dry cleaning or walking into a room and completely forgetting why you went in there. Section 2. The surprising root cause. Okay, so we've measured the impact. But what is the actual trigger? Prepare to be surprised, because the answer is entirely unexpected. It's actually not the videos themselves. To figure this out, researchers set up this brilliant comparison. They tested the cognitive impact of physically swiping through short videos on an app versus simply sitting back and watching those exact same videos, the same dogs, the same cats, the same comedy sketches, but merged together in a continuous montage. And they found a startling difference in how the brain reacted. This brilliantly illustrates the core of the issue. The cognitive deficit completely disappears when you are forced to just watch a montage. Let that sink in for a second. It is not the short content that's harming our attention spans. It's the swiping interface itself. The app design is the real culprit here. Let's break down exactly what's happening in your brain during this process. We can call it the swiping effect. Step 1. You're forced to make rapid-fire judgments on a video's worth in literal milliseconds. Step 2. You have the power to instantly skip anything remotely boring, which creates this highly concentrated entertainment loop. And Step 3. Because of this constant, rapid decision-making, your brain physically shifts out of a reflective state and straight into a fast-acting, highly compulsive state. Section 3. The monkey in the room. So, if our immediate cognition is being fundamentally altered just by the physical act of swiping, well, it raises a pretty terrifying question about our daily habits. Are we permanently breaking our brains by doing this for hours every single day? Thankfully, we can breathe a massive sigh of relief here. We currently have zero scientific evidence of permanent damage. While that immediate cognitive deficit is absolutely real, it is way, way too early for anyone to claim that your ability to think clearly is permanently destroyed. To help us conceptualize this, Joss Fong perfectly summarizes our current reality with this incredible analogy.
Our phones are like a monkey playing a trumpet. I absolutely love this visual. Your attention span isn't fundamentally broken. You're just a normal human being trying to focus while a monkey plays a trumpet directly next to your ear. I mean, of course you can't concentrate.
So, the next time you sit down on the couch, open a book, read a single paragraph, and find your mind wandering, you've got to look at your environment. Ask yourself, is the monkey in the room with you right now? Is your phone sitting right there on the armrest, face up, just waiting to distract you?
Here's a highly practical way to test this theory out on yourself. It's a simple 3-day test. Step 1. When you want to focus, physically move the phone into an entirely different room. Step 2. Commit to this practice for just 3 days. And Step 3. See if you can successfully engage with a book or a movie again. If you move the monkey away and quiet that trumpet, you're likely going to find that your natural ability to focus returns remarkably quickly.
Section 4. Setting strict context boundaries. Let's move to realistic solutions and see how this builds into our daily lives. Because let's be honest, we all know there is something genuinely irresistible and fun about these apps. They give us a laugh, they offer useful tips, and honestly, cutting them out entirely usually just leads to massive FOMO. So how do we actually balance this?
Well, first, let's address what absolutely doesn't work. Telling yourself you'll only scroll for 15 minutes is a battle you're gonna lose. Setting arbitrary time limits is a terrible strategy because, as we learned earlier, that swiping interface shifts you into a compulsive state. And once you're in that state, 15 minutes very easily turns into 2 hours.
Instead, what the research suggests is that you need to create highly specific, situational domains where scrolling is allowed. We call these effective context boundaries. For example, tell yourself you can only scroll while walking on the treadmill at the gym, or maybe only while you're in the bathroom. And the golden rule is, otherwise do not open the app. You've got to strictly ban the monkey from entering all other areas and context of your life.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative question. Take a moment today to really reflect on those hours spent scrolling. Ultimately, our days add up to our lives. Ask yourself, are you spending your days the way you genuinely want to? Or are you mostly just regretting the time you spent swiping? The science shows your brain isn't broken. So, are you ready to put the trumpet down, set some firm boundaries, and take back control of your attention?